say you wanna watch a drama. You say you wanna watch a comedy. Well, you can watch it with your mama, or you can watch it with your daddy.
You'll even sit and watch it with your middle schooler, so you can come and talk around a water cooler. We're watching all day and all night.
Couch potatoes unite.
Whoa, whoa.
Couch potatoes unite.
Whoa, whoa. Couch potatoes unite.
Hello and welcome to a brand new episode of the podcast entitled Couch Potatoes Unite! Which is based on a blog of the same name because we think it still falls short of megalomaniacal supervillainy. So why not? My name is Kylie and I love TV. If you feel the same, keep listening and or checking out our website, couchpotatoesunite.wordpress.com, as you're bound to find some common ground with something you like. For Couch Potatoes Unite, we're all about the wonders and the unique long-form storytelling of the small screen. CPU! Is basking in that autumn glow and hopes you've been following releases of brand new episodes of the podcast on Wednesdays, as well as new blog entries on some Tuesdays, and as always, we have several more new episodes on the way. Because the panelists and I live lives behind our podcast, the episodes are published once per week. Subscribe to the blog or the podcast via iTunes, Stitcher Radio, and via Google Play to stay on top of brand new episodes. Episodes already published discuss a variety of shows around the water cooler, including, but not limited to, The Crown, Once Upon a Time, A Series of Unfortunate Events, Fuller House, Westworld, American Horror Story, The Good Place, Grace and Frankie, Supernatural, and Arrested Development. Plus, new episodes are in the works, including revisits for Doctor Who, Gotham, Schitt's Creek, Game of Thrones, Will and Grace, Stranger Things, iZombie, Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., Orange is the New Black, 13 Reasons Why. The Marvel's Defenders panel will talk Season 2 of The Punisher, and the Star Trek 50 Plus series will cover the animated series. We'll be launching new panels covering Jane the Virgin, The Americans, Riverdale, The Chilling Adventures of Sabrina, Altered Carbon, Mr. Robot, Charmed, Outlander, and the Breaking Bad universe. And because we look back at shows now past, we'll take a smallish look back at a short-term show from some kind of yesteryear called Freaks and Geeks. We'll don witch hats and bring our Salem cats for Sabrina the Teenage Witch. We'll put out some musical stops for our crazy ex-girlfriend, and we'll revisit one of the all-time and most-watched classic sitcoms, MASH. By the way, did you know that CPU also from time to time goes live? We've been live from bunkers and comedy shows and Comic-Cons, and we just went live from Blue Bridge Games to take a shiny look back at Firefly. Plus, we're planning more live appearances and other cool stuff, so make sure you like or follow us at our Facebook page, our Twitter at CPU Podcast, our Instagram at Couch Potatoes Unite, or subscribe to the blog, our YouTube channel, our iTunes channel, our Stitcher Radio channel, or find us on Google Play. In the meantime, if you don't hear a show in this podcast format, fellow panelists and I still write reviews, and we always seek new panelists, so if you have any interest in joining the discussion, say hello by finding us at any of those outlets I've mentioned. At the very least, stop by and leave us a thumbs up, comment, or review. We like feedback, and if you try to clone us, we'll just take it as flattery, but we might also get feisty about it. I'm just being honest. Today, we're around the water cooler and continuing another of CPU's podcast series. This series does not have a fixed number of episodes like other series we do. Rather, it is ongoing and covers a number of shows that fall under one large umbrella, expanding into a quite popular universe of comic book adaptations. With that said, today's episode is episode 21 of our DCTU series, in which our DCTU expert panel discusses the DC television universe, or television programs adapted from DC comic book properties that have morphed and expanded into one television universe. In this 21st episode of our DCTU podcast series, we return to the water cooler to talk the fourth season of the Arrowverse's most recent spinoff, which aired from October 14th, 2018 to May 19th, 2019 on the CW, and that spinoff is Supergirl. Supergirl is an American superhero action-adventure television series developed by Ali Adler, Greg Berlanti, and Andrew Kreisberg, the latter two having previously created Arrow and The Flash. It is based on the DC Comics character Supergirl, created by Otto Binder and Al Plastino, and stars Melissa Benoist in the title role. Supergirl is a costume superheroine who is Superman's cousin and one of the last surviving Kryptonians. The series is set in the Arrowverse, sharing continuity with the other television series of the universe. In the fourth season, Kara deals with a new wave of anti-extraterrestrial prejudice secretly instigated by Lex Luthor, played by guest star John Cryer, from prison, forcing her to fight for the civil and political rights of aliens. Ben Lockwood, played by Sam Witwer, a former college professor who suffered a series of personal tragedies at the hands of extraterrestrials, forms a human-first group called the Children of Liberty to end all aliens. Meanwhile, in the nation of Cosnia, a clone of Kara, dubbed Red Daughter, is trained by its military to fight Supergirl at Lex's request. In addition, Kara and Alex, played by Schuyler Lee, go head-to-head with the DEO's new addition, Colonel Lauren Haley, played by April Parker Jones, who was assigned to monitor the DEO's progress, with Alex as the DEO's new director. Today, in the 21st episode of our DCTU series, our DCTU panel, namely Kyle, Hillary, Spencer, Kristen, and Nick, returns to focus specifically upon Season 4 of Supergirl. Before we get into the discussion, as always, I'm going to take our typical moment to take the panel's temperature because, after all, as we all know, sometimes a show can take turns for the better or worse in our heads, or can continue its level of awesomeness or lack thereof, depending upon story evolution. As always, it should be noted that all of our panelists have watched every single episode of Supergirl through the end of the 4th season, and will without doubt discuss sensitive plot points. So for those of you who are not caught up on Supergirl, or really any of the DCTU to date, listen at your own risk, as there may be major spoilers. Welcome back, panel. How are you?
Super.
Hi!
Good.
She's high. The rest of us are good. She's high.
Wow.
That's what happens when you go to the Fortress of Solitude. You get bored and do drugs.
I
think I would just
pretty
be like,
serious
wow, I'm
cold
in the
meds
Fortress
right
of
now.
Solitude. I don't think
But there's only so much you can do there.
So,
I would wait for friggin' Superman to come.
Starved to death in the Arctic.
That's fine. He's worth it.
There's a robot butler.
That's true.
Legit.
I think Crypto lives there too.
A, shots fired. B, the references to young Kristen. Last time, Spencer was quarantined in a secret bunker or something across the city.
Also known as my living room.
Yes, this time, Kristen has been banished to the Fortress of Solitude because the germs keep spreading. It's an epidemic.
Like aliens.
Apparently, according to Agent Liberty, which is a wonderful segue. Thanks, Kyle. So what we're going to do now is take your temperature, and I'm going to do that along the standard CPU character question, which changes with each show we do. I have massively tweaked the Supergirl character question because they do this thing on Supergirl where they change a lot of stuff every season, which we'll talk about, and so I'm going to read that. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Sure, yeah, do it. Read.
Wow. Two enthusiastic
She
people.
wanted a drum roll. We disappointed.
No, I didn't need a drum roll, but perhaps talking could help, because this
That's
is
what's
a
going on with Jake.
podcast.
We've already established that Kristen is high, and then Spencer's talking about Kristen being high, and then Kyle's just here.
There you go, Kyle.
Welcome to married life, Kyle. Might as well get that in right away.
I don't think that's covered by the character question, but I will proceed. So how would you rate your interest in Supergirl after watching Season 4? Do you watch it because you love Supergirl? You love the character, you love the portrayal, you wish you were Supergirl. In fact, you wish there were two Supergirls. Or you love dressing up as Supergirl, even if you doubt yourself or your show at times, like Kara Danvers, a.k.a. Supergirl. What is going on?
Did you
Nothing.
hear what you said? Just keep going.
You watch it because you were asked to do so by a good friend who has more than a passing knowledge of DC Comics and Superman, and found yourself loving the show in spite of yourself, and or because you are protective of the show's overall contribution to the DC Superman legacy, like James or Jimmy Olsen. Do you watch it because your sister watches it, and you're very protective of your sister, even though she's a badass like you have always been, and can make her own grown-up choices, like what to watch on TV? Plus, you want to be mutually supportive too, like Alex Danvers. Do you like the show because of what it stands for? Peace, love, understanding, and girl power. You enjoy that the show attempts to tackle progressive topics through a comic book lens because you dream of a brighter future, like Nia Nall, aka Dreamer. Do you watch it because you've grown very fond of the characters, even though the story can be somewhat shallow at times, particularly as it relates to the Martian Manhunter, and or you really only watch it for the Martian Manhunter, like Jean Jones, aka the Martian Manhunter? You started watching watching the show in earnest after it started, but you don't know if you can trust the quality of storytelling, and you don't always make good life decisions anyway, though you admit that you would never be able ultimately to separate yourself from the Superman or Supergirl universe, no matter how much you might want to, like Lena Luthor. Did you start watching the show in earnest this season, but you feel it is so very awkward at times, you don't know what to make of it because it defies logic and reason, like Brainiac 5, aka Brainy? Do you watch it but you can't say you like much of it? You really stand by the Supergirl character when times get tough, but ultimately you find yourself impatient and critical of the show's lack of consistency when following basic storytelling rules like Colonel Lauren Haley. Did you decide to jump the shark because you had to go back to the future, like Mon-El and Win Shot, or you don't want to watch it or hate watching it because you hate Supergirl, at least in theory, because she's an alien, and you're kind of an anti-alien racist who needs to deal with his personal issues more constructively, like Ben Lockwood, aka Agent Liberty, who would like to start.
I'll start.
Okay.
I am Nick,
Hi, Nick.
and my temperature is Lena Luthor degrees.
Lena Luthor degrees. Last time you were a Mon-El, but he slipped down the scale because he left.
Yeah, I picked Lena because I don't trust the quality of the storytelling. I would almost add a little bit of Brainy because there's aspects of the show I just want to put in little tiny boxes and set aside.
Your brain? Uh-huh. All right. That's a pretty fair description. I'll let you go with that.
Thanks.
Welcome back, Nick.
I'm Kyle.
Hi, Kyle.
Last time I was Mon-El, but because the description's changed, that's changed. I would say Brainy, mostly because this season just defies logic and reason. And it's just awkward. Just all the characters and where they've gone with them these last couple seasons. It's just such a far cry from the first season, and the quality I expected this show to go when I first was watching it is just completely gone.
Okay.
And
I don't want to say more until we get into more specific plot points.
Do you want to disclaim, or do you want to let other people disclaim?
She can disclaim. I did it the last couple podcasts.
I see. Welcome back, Kyle. She.
he's keeping score.
She.
She is Hillary.
Hi, Hillary.
And Kyle is my husband. You are my sister.
All true.
And yeah, I'm having a lot of conflicted feelings. I love Supergirl. And that's why I was so excited when the show first started. But it's kind of making me feel like my conflicted, confusing feelings that I have when I watch Gotham.
I'd say it's stronger for this show.
Really?
You're
No,
a little
I'd
more
say it's
forgiving
pretty
with
equal.
Gotham.
Last time you were Supergirl, Jimmy Olsen, and Mon-El.
Yeah, I'm shifting.
Okay.
I'm also in the temperature of Lena because, like, I have hope. Or at least I did have hope. But I just feel like the quality is just sinking. They're trying to do too many things at once, and it keeps shifting its tone, and we'll talk about all of that. And also Brainy for the same thing that he just said, basically.
Who he?
Kyle.
Him.
Sorry. That's true.
Me,
And
me.
and also, what's the other one? Oh, Colonel Lauren Haley, because I can't say that I like a lot of it right now. And I want to stand by Supergirl just because of all the things. I like the property. I like all of these comic book things, but it's really hard sometimes. I'm done.
Okay. Welcome back, Hillary.
I'm Spencer.
Hi, Spencer.
And this particular part that we're talking about, I am Lena. This show stinks.
Oh my God. That wasn't part of your description.
No, but that's how I feel about it. Lena was the closest, when I read through the summaries, Lena was definitely the closest to how I feel about it. And it's probably falling further and further down that slope with every season that comes out.
Last time you were
Mon-El.
Mon-El. Yeah. He slipped down because he went back to the future.
Yes. This show is not what it could have been. And it's trying to do something that alienates some of its viewers, which isn't a clever way to do TV.
Okay. Welcome back, Spencer. Telling it like it is. Hello, Fortress of Solitude.
Hi, I'm Kristen, broadcasting from the Fortress of Solitude.
Hi,
aka
Kristen,
my
broadcasting
kitchen.
from the Fortress of Solitude, aka your kitchen.
Hi.
Hockland there?
So, last time, what?
She was asking if Tyler Hoechlin was there. Was Tyler Hoechlin there, the guy who plays Superman? And then she
Oh,
just
I
went,
wish.
Heard that coming.
And then she just went, oh no, when you said you couldn't hear very well.
Yeah. So last time I was Monel because he's dreamy and really, really cute and he's adorable. And he's not here anymore, so that sucks. So this time I am a combo. I'm Lena Luther for the same reasons everyone else has said. And I'm also Colonel Haley?
Yes.
Hadley?
Haley.
Yeah, Haley. So her. I want it to be as good as it was in, seasons 1 and 2, and it's not, and it sucks. So it's not my favorite. It was a little hard to get through at times, but it did have some bright spots, but not many.
Welcome back, Kristen.
Thanks.
And of course, my name is Kylie. I both moderate and participate in this motley crew. Last time I was Supergirl with a dash of Jimmy Olsen and Monel. I guess this time I would also be Lena Luther and Brainy. I actually wrote Brainy with him and me in mind because even though we didn't start watching it in earnest this season was awkward and sometimes defied logic and reason. That is true. And I don't think I can trust the quality of storytelling, although I think my life decisions are all right. But I also don't think I can ultimately separate myself from the Superman-Supergirl universe because that would just make my soul hurt. Because it's my favorite, other than Batman, Superman, Batman. It depends on the day. So that's where I am as well. I guess I'll join that crowd.
Welcome.
Thank you. So welcome back, DCTU panel.
Welcome to your own podcast.
Go to that crowd.
To the crowd, Spencer. So welcome back, DCTU series panel. We're now going to talk about Supergirl season 4. Clearly it's going to be filled with puppies and rainbows, but why don't you tell us what you liked and what you didn't like? Probably maybe start with the things you liked that's less of them in the 4th season.
Lex.
Or unless there's nothing.
Lex is the only thing that I enjoyed. So good job, John Cryer.
Yeah, he at least made the season go out on a bang for me, because everything else was just such a slog to get through.
So, I loved Lex for the way it was portrayed, but I hated Lex because it was the only interesting part of the series, or of the season, and that's a problem in a story where you're trying to make it all about the women and powerful women. And the only way that this season was interesting was by introducing a powerful man.
That is a valid
Which just makes you want...
It really annoyed me about the writing that they had to bring in a powerful man to make the show interesting this season.
And that's a valid point. I normally would have immediately... But I was just trying to get through it as best I could. That didn't even occur to me. I was just so happy that I won by finishing. But that is... I agree with that statement 100%.
Jumping on the John Cryer topic here, I am really surprised by his performance. When they first announced that John Cryer was going to be Lex Luthor, I was really concerned. But he did a great job. But yeah, I agree with Spencer that it was very interesting that they needed a strong guy to come in to make the series that's supposed to be so girl power interesting.
Well, and I don't even think that it is they needed a strong guy. I think they needed a strong Superman character to resuscitate, because the problem all along has been Supergirl's comic history is a mess. There's nothing consistent in the comics and the cartoons and anything.
They reboot her like every 10 years.
Pretty much. And almost, I think that must be the most frequent kind of rebooting. She just really doesn't have a through line that they can draw from. So they've been pulling very, very heavily from Superman. Well, they basically ran through all of his, well, not all of them, but a good chunk of his B villains. Mm-hmm. The ones that are,
and
not
C
the
villains now with the elites.
Correct. So what do they have left? How can they make this better? The only thing they can do is bring in Lex Luthor. And I also think they brought in Lex Luthor because everything has been about Crisis on Infinite Earths. And I'm pretty sure he's going to be in that.
After that performance, I'm certain he'll be in on it.
Well, his performance in this, and it was just all the reviews from the show dealt with that.
One of my favourite scenes of this season is where he locks Lena away in the castle, and as he's leaving, he orchestrates it like a symphony piece. That was just brilliant.
Yeah, and the way they tied all this random plots from this entire season into him, how he's playing everyone and nobody sees it. It really built up that character in a way he should be. Like, he's human, but he's so many steps ahead of everybody. He's almost like, I would describe him like Batman. His brain is almost unbeatable.
Yeah, he's a megalomaniacal.
Megalomaniacal.
Thank you, genius. Sometimes you just can't get the words
And
out.
honestly,
I like when his English comes out.
this is the only interpretation, in my opinion, of Lex Luthor that has actually touched the comic book. Because, I mean, Gene Hackman's funny, but he's also kind of just a bumbling street criminal.
Kevin
With a
Spacey.
cartoon
Kevin Spacey just
aspect.
wanted to make land.
Yeah. Kevin Spacey was terrible.
He was very I mean, I didn't think he was terrible, but he was extremely understated.
And Michael Rosenbaum
Compared
was
to the
good,
character.
but we never got to see him be the full...
He was Lex Jr.
We
He
we
was
saw him
blossoming
developing
Lex.
into it,
You
but
look like
this John
Supergirl.
Cryer feels like he could be that
The
older...
trouble I think that Michael Rosenbaum's version had is it never got to blossom before he was really gone from the
Exactly.
series.
He got bored with the series before he fully...
Yeah, before he got to be Lex Luthor.
But John
He was
really
Alexander
good.
rather than Lex.
And I just like how John Cryer played his... he plays himself different with each person he's with, whether it's his sister or Eve Tessemacher, and just you can see how
Miss
he's...
Tessmacher!
Yeah, how he,
He did that.
adjusts his personality depending on who he's messing with.
I love the fact that they played him or had him play as he will do whatever it takes to make what he wants happen, including giving himself cancer. I mean, that was
whatever that
That
was.
was insane.
Yeah.
Well, and all these intricate puzzle pieces to mess with Supergirl, and like you would think it's because he wants to get rid of Supergirl, but in the end it just boils down to he wants to blow up the really far away planet where Superman is. It's like all these people whose lives he's completely ruining just
Everything
because
of-
of his
yeah.
one grudge, and that is so
Every single
perfectly
thing
Lex.
that Lex does is super focused.
I mean, yeah. It's pretty brilliant. Everybody in the world to him is basically, I mean, you know...
And
a pawn to
They're-
get to
they're-
Superman.
Yeah, they're just there. They exist. He has no. I mean, it's pretty smart the way that they. And I agree with what you said too. I do think that Supergirl had other storytelling opportunities. They just squandered it away over the course of time to get towards other things.
I think a lot of the time
So-
their desire to hit current social issues.
Yeah.
They've been
gets
hitting
in
that
the way
way
of
too
their
hard the
storytelling.
last like 3 seasons.
Yeah,
It-
because-
And
it's
then they're
always
repeating
about
the same story.
the cause of the week,
Yeah.
rather than storytelling.
'Cause-
It's become this PC machine of
Yeah.
how can we placate this group and that group, and
Yeah.
it's stale.
Because
And we're fairly liberal, and even we were like, okay, this is just pandering so
Well-
bad that just it feels so over the top that it doesn't feel it's not coming from a natural place.
The entire first half of the season that was focused just on Agent Liberty, who is, in the comics.
Such a weak character.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, really boring.
And they wouldn't let him go.
Yeah.
There was a good opportunity where, that was the checkpoint villain leading to Lex, but they kept Ben Lockwood throughout the whole season.
Yeah.
Well, partially
It was
that's
too
because he
much.
was played by Sam Witwer, and Sam Witwer is a gem.
And he's also
I
a big
liked
part of
the
Smallville.
acting.
And
I
he's
think
also
the
here.
character
I
just
Yeah.
as a villain.
He served his
really
purpose.
weak.
He served his purpose.
He
and
became pretty one note that they
Yeah.
just played over and over again.
That's true. Well,
his
his
son
character,
ended up being more interesting than him, and
because he evolved.
yeah.
Agent Liberty never evolved.
No, he stayed the same, boring.
Until the very, 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 very end when he was like, oh man, they're screwing me over. Okay, I'm going to go screw them over and forget about the aliens for a while, essentially. John Cryer, I was very surprised by because I think I had the same concerns. I was like, are we going to see 2.5 Men again?
Right.
Or maybe even that hint of Ducky because
I
some
don't
of
think
that...
I've ever seen him play so serious a role.
Yes,
and
me
He
neither.
surprised me when he did it.
Yeah, I didn't know he could do menacing, and then he
And
nailed it.
he nailed menacing.
Yeah.
He
that
nailed
character.
it, and you could tell that he was drawing a little bit from here, a little bit from here, a little bit from here. But I think he actually did his research too.
And I wonder whether he's
Well,
a fan.
he's a huge Superman fan. That's how
Oh, there
he's
you
in
go.
Superman Quest for Peace because like he sought out that role.
That
even
makes
though
a
it's
lot of sense.
Yeah, like he's been a huge Superman fan his entire life.
So he must really, really like the Lex Luthor character then,
Yeah.
because he just, he found, like you said, he
Well,
found it.
without Lex, Superman is uninteresting. You need to have your foil.
Well, you need to have your.
You need your yin and your yang in.
Well, I was just like, yes, it is necessary to have Lex Luthor. He's not the only villain.
No, he's not. But it's,
Okay.
it's the same in the Batman universe. Without the Joker, Batman
True.
is only he's interesting, but not as interesting.
Because it's that person, and I forget the word I'm trying to reach for, who
Nemesis?
challenges them the most. Arch nemesis?
Arch nemesis.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sounds good. So Lex Luthor was the only positive part of the season.
There was a scene I really enjoyed watching.
Tell us about it.
Brainy breaking down and
was so
shifting
nice of
to
you.
Brainiac.
Yeah, that
Oh,
was
yeah.
actually
I
one of the more
enjoyed
interesting.
Which is another interesting Superman villain. Brainiac. I like Brainiac. And that would have been interesting if he'd lasted longer as
Yeah,
Brainiac.
even that
I agree.
storyline was like, it just, okay,
We're
That's what I
done.
said.
flip the switch,
They've
we're done with
had
that, it
many
served its purpose.
That's what I said. They've really actually had many opportunities, because I still fall back more on what Spencer said, just because, like, yeah, Supergirl doesn't have as much source material. We all know that. I mean, anybody knows that. But they've had plenty of opportunity. They just literally pissed it
I mean,
away.
and
I
like
mean,
25% of the show isn't even focused on her this season. It's
No.
like Dreamer's show.
and it's talking. Well, it's true, and it's focused on.
Which was a cause.
yeah.
Yes.
It wasn't about story, it was
And
about
again,
cause.
we've mentioned this before. I think I mentioned this in the last Supergirl podcast, that the whole reason, I mean, comic books are very socially and politically driven, but it is so forced. Like, normally it's interwoven more intelligently.
It's
There-
more of a subtext.
Yeah, it's a subtext. There are those themes. You can definitely see it, but this, it's like literally forcing it, and it's too after
She's just
school,
not an
especially.
interesting character.
It's just too after school special. Like, I feel like they are literally marketing it more towards a 12-year-old than towards, like, here you go, we're going to sit down in class today, and this is the special and this is what we're going to talk about because it's so relevant right now in the world. This is what everybody's talking about. Like Spencer said, here's another episode about it, which is fine to a certain degree. It shouldn't be every single episode, I don't think. I felt like it was almost every episode.
Well, and I grew to like sort of Dreamer, but she was very flat. I mean, she
She
just...
should have just been a supporting character, but they devoted so many episodes to her. I don't even remember a whole lot of what Supergirl was doing at those times.
She was not being Supergirl because
But they
Red
put
Daughter
the
had
focus-
been...
They put her focus about her being transgender rather than
Her actually
the rest
being...
of it.
Yeah.
Her
because
discovering her powers.
the whole
and
point,
being-
if you want to get, like, socially and politically relevant, is that you don't need to focus on that part of her.
Right.
She's just being her.
She
But
should be a good
instead,
character who just
they
happens
focused,
to be.
They
Yes.
kept bringing up the fact that that's what she is. That shouldn't be the focus. So it's almost like, again, the writers are missing their own point that they're trying to make.
I fully agree with that, and that's been Supergirl's misstep the entire way through since it joined the CW universe, is they take the sledgehammer to put the tack nail in the wall to hang the picture rather than let the picture be hung by the storytelling around it.
Well, that was a very colorful and apt metaphor.
He's making up for the lost time when he was quarantined last time. Because I said, oh, there's no metaphors this time.
Another misstep they make is that they do not seem to be able to decide whether to take Lena down the dark side of the Luthor family or having her keep wavering, and it's getting really boring.
I agree with you. It's not. I think
I
they
wanted
think
her to be Lex. I wanted her to turn into Lex. It works in a storytelling narrative.
Or turn into something that was a blend of... because really, Lex, Lionel, and Lillian, between the three of them, she could draw influence from any of them.
Yeah. It
And
just feels
become
like,
her own.
Like they hinted at that in her whole first couple seasons, and then they've like pretty much reassured you, oh, she's not going to, like, she's staying true to her friends and everything.
No, I still...
So then now when you do it at the end of this season, it just feels...
Yeah, let's keep pushing
Weird.
her towards the
There-
boundary
as
of the
I
dark side
said-
of bringing her.
Yeah.
Ugh.
It's like I think they're going to keep doing it, and then by the time it finally full on does happen, no one's going to care anymore.
I already don't care.
I don't think they've decided. what
I
they're gonna do.
would not be surprised if this next season is the last
I
season.
just think they're really uncleverly trying to, like, hold it off.
I have a question. Where's she getting all those hearts?
That's a good question.
She just keeps testing on these hearts.
Well, I think they've painted... I mean, even though she's wishy-washy as far as Darkseid, I think they have adequately painted the fact that she's morally ambiguous. She has the same sort of ambition that Lex has
Yeah,
with
she
her
still
scientific
has.
pursuit.
She still has some of those Luthor characteristics in her that
She is still biologically Lionel's.
She very much is of the vein of thought of, well, as long as what I'm doing results in good.
Right. It's for the greater good.
She's a greater good character,
ends
where Lex
justify
is
the
more
means.
egocentric. She's definitely got that. I've got a moral destination I'm heading for, but she's got the Luther characteristic of I'm driving there in a bulldozer and I don't care what gets in my way.
Yeah, collateral damage doesn't matter. The ends justify the means.
And I like her as an actress.
Yeah,
I
I really like her as an
I
She's one of
actress.
the more
I like-
interesting
yeah.
characters.
I just still don't. I mean, ultimately, I'm getting burnt out on waiting to see where everything's going to go, and maybe it again goes back to all the episodes they have to fulfill for the season on
Well, and
CW.
part of-
But
The Red Dawn stuff was the
Red Daughter.
Red Daughter. Maybe that's the name of one of the episodes.
Could be. I
Might
don't
be
know.
the name of the comic book series that it came from.
Could be.
Anyway,
I would know.
they drew
Red
that
Sun.
out way
Red
too
Sun.
too
I
long.
thought so. Continue.
I mean, Red Dawn
Just
is
to
a
say that-
1980s action movie.
That's right!
That too.
There you go.
You sounded familiar.
I
I'm
agree
done.
with you, Nick. They were really extending that well past where it needed to be.
So I didn't care anymore.
And
Because
then-
I knew what they were going to do.
And then they didn't need her anymore, so then Lex just kills her in like 1 second, like it's no big
It
deal.
was
But hilariously, they forgot about her. I mean, it was turning on the switch and then turning off the switch when they were done. They seeded it in the cliffhanger of the 3rd season finale.
Mm-hmm.
Ignored her for the all the way through Elseworlds.
I was already,
And then brought her up when it came back after mid-season.
and I just didn't even care. So I was
I
just
didn't
like, "Why
either.
are you here?" That's literally
Because the second they showed her in the cliffhanger, you knew that they were going to do a swap where she's going to do horrible things and it's going to be.
It was so predictable.
Because what else are you going to do with a lookalike of
Well,
your
we
hero?
all suspected
Yeah.
her that she was Bizarro until you brought up. Actually, the Red Sun theory did come out the last time. That was the one prediction. Bully on you. But either way,
Red Dawn is the name of the 21st episode.
there you go.
That's fine.
Good job,
said
Nick.
Red
I don't
Dawn.
remember names of episodes.
Yeah.
It's hard enough to remember all the plots.
When you're looking how many are left, you notice the titles.
I see.
How many more of these do I have to get through?
That is a fascinating commentary.
This show's really struggled since Wynn left too.
Well, that
Yeah.
was 3rd season finale.
Mm-hmm.
So
Brainy-
you're saying the whole 4th season was a struggle.
Brainy-
I don't like
Well,
Brainy.
yeah.
I don't
He
like
doesn't.
Brainy. I'm
Brainy
sorry.
He's just
Carry
so
the same-
monotone and just like
I mean,
he
he's
has.
supposed to be, but it's not clever.
No.
It's not
Yeah.
funny. Even the humor is just too dry.
It's not.
Making
But you can make
forcing-
that character more interesting. Like James Marsters on Smallville was Brainiac, and then he was Brainiac 5.
That
and
was
he made
awesome.
him interesting.
And he was amazing.
yeah, but he's
Love James.
he's generally amazing as a sci-fi
Love you.
character actor / fantasy character actor. But yeah, well, and they forced one of the parts that I didn't like was forcing the Brainy Nia
Thank you.
romance.
Yes.
Gross.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I didn't care if it was. I didn't care. Whether it was gross or not gross.
I'm
This
just saying
these
it
were
was forced. That's
Yeah.
what was gross.
Two.
Not,
Well, he's just so robotic, and then in
happens.
one episode he's just like, I love her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like it didn't
out
feel
of
like there's
nowhere.
anything there.
Again, it goes back to the awkwardness of it because all of a sudden it's just happening, and it's like they needed something extra on the side again to put in there.
How many times has Supergirl done that as far as forced relationships? I
From
can't
the
think
beginning.
of one good relationship.
Everything with
And
James.
I really liked-
everything with James.
Yeah.
Everything
Olsen,
with James
that's the only
Olsen,
thing they have.
everything with
I was gonna say, and the
Alex.
funny thing is, I
Yeah.
really liked the first season, even though it was clearly drawing on like other ways of doing the genre. But that was still one of my least favorite parts of the first season was her trying to get with Jimmy. Like,
There
no.
just never seems to
I mean,
have been any
James.
natural chemistry to any relationship on this show.
Well, and another squandered opportunity is it could have been an interesting character study to watch Brainiac, a Brainiac object or Brainiac member, however you would characterize that person, evolve into something that was more humane, where then we could travel along that journey and then actually empathize with it and be interested in it by the time he arrived at, oh, I just think Dreamer's the greatest thing alive. We didn't have that. And then she was just introduced this season, and we had none of her backstory until the back half of the season. So it was like, what is going on? Do you not know how to tell a story in the proper, correct way? Because they were trying to shove too much stuff into it.
Yes.
I mean, if you want to rant more, you can.
I just was feeling what you said, but then I just didn't want to go on another tangent. I agree with what you just said. There are so many opportunities that they could have just cleanly outlined multiple stories that they decided to introduce, and it just never happened.
Yeah.
I was making a Once Upon a Time podcast joke with hashtag potential.
Oh.
They keep
Yeah.
We need to think
all
of a specific hashtag for this one.
Hashtag
Yeah.
it sucks.
Well, and also, and if you think about it too, like the only episodes we're praising are the Lex ones, are the episodes directed by Kevin Smith.
Oh my gosh! I forgot.
And that's why those episodes feel
And I
more like The
forgot.
Flash, because he's a recurring director on The Flash, so he brought a little bit more of that sensibility and fun into the episodes he made.
Well, and also he's just
That's
obviously
amazing.
everyone that knows him knows that he's a massive fan of these genres as well. So it's like, of course, he's going to try to put some effort into it. It doesn't take that much to do basic stories. I don't know.
No,
I
it's
think
fun.
that's a legit hashtag, though.
It sucks.
No,
Well,
potential.
both of them. But she said potential because she was going off of what I said.
Well, and it was so messy. I mean, it was hard to keep things straight beyond the Agent Liberty storyline. That was massively obvious.
Because they retread it, and it didn't evolve. It was the same.
Well, and it was clearly an allegory for socio-political current events.
Right.
Which is fine, okay, but, I think Spencer said this in one of our previous episodes, even though the commentary is subtext most often in other comic book properties, we also go to superhero television to escape. That's one of the things that I think most of us want to escape. We acknowledge it, it's horrible, we don't want it to happen, there's a lot of stuff.
We want that relatability, we want all that, but...
When good fiction, sci-fi, superhero
Yeah.
is presented in a way where people who might agree with Ben Lockwood could watch this and have the opportunity to change their mind because they're not being bashed over the head with why they're wrong and what they think is wrong.
Right.
That's one of the beauties of this genre. Like, oh, we're introducing you to mutants and the X-Men, not realizing that they represent the other, and you're learning to love these characters, and then that gives that person the potential to make some sort of change. Whereas this, nobody who wants to, say, build the wall is going to watch this and change their mind.
In fact, they're probably going to watch this and double down because of the way it was presented.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a really awful presentation of the argument.
And funnily enough, I mean, even though we have more to talk about, I'm going to have you rank early before we get to our Legends episode, the universe, like I usually do, have you, rate your shows. And I was thinking about that question heavily as I was preparing for this podcast because we've all talked about Arrow and how Arrow is wavered. But it's funny because I don't know if I could break the tie between the two of them. I feel like Arrow's first half was pretty decent, but the second half floundered into whatever it was. And then Supergirl's first half was abysmal. I mean, I absolutely kind of hated it, actually. Yep. The second half got better because of things like Lex, because they were trying to, the Agent Liberty and Children of Liberty stuff was there, but not in your face, omnipresent. But it still didn't account for all of the crap that had come before it. So it's like, what is going on with this? And then you start to think about Crisis on Infinite Earths, and even though Kara does have a role in that, in the collapse, if you will, the crisis, you just wonder, is it even worth have they even made this character worth it?
If it's the comic book outcome, then we're all going to be very happy.
That's true.
Her big upcoming change is going to be that this season she's wearing pants.
Yeah, and I like the skirt, and I don't think there's anything wrong.
Neither do I.
I mean, the Katharine Hepburn statement was fine for 1940.
Yeah.
But nowadays, girls can wear what they want.
And they're basically saying
here's the thing too. If you can change the costume like Flash does every single year, and they're doing it again. But Supergirl's making it like their entire promotional thing is she's got pants this season. Like that's how they're advertising the show. I literally
just went, oh, you guys just don't get it.
If that's your big selling point on the show.
And we praised before because she was still
else to promote.
Oh, well, that's true too. But I agree with that. But I mean, it's true. Yeah, you were just saying, it's 2019. Girls can wear what they want, but we praised it before because it was still not in the traditional Supergirl costume, but still like she's properly she's wearing the black tights and she has
practical.
It's
she
practical.
Has thumb holes.
She doesn't need the pants.
She doesn't need pants.
She's got pockets.
She's got pockets deep within the folds of her cape.
And I like Melissa Benoist too, but I'm just like, girl, I hope she's not contributing to this. I hope she's not on the side yes, this is a great
Well, all of the leads are executive or at least producers on their own shows.
It doesn't mean they're writing it.
Yeah, they might
Producer
have
just means
input,
they get paid
but
more.
Yeah, sometimes that title helps, like, give them
elevate
that salary.
their salary.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Well.
she doesn't need pants.
No, it just seemed like, I mean, being that that's the first bit of promotion I've seen for this show for season 4. Is it 4 or
5.
Season 5.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I was like, really? That's your big thing? That's the first thing you're going to talk about for next season? Doesn't bode well at all.
And you mentioned the Elite, and they're not great, but I did like Manchester Black. I liked the guy who played Manchester Black. And if they had actually spent time, again, this was a one episode, a one-off, where the Elite as we know it was together, and then they were done.
Yeah.
Well, they killed Manchester Black.
And they killed Jean
thank
killed
God,
Manchester Black.
I don't even like. Can I tell you? I don't even really like Martian Manhunter anymore.
No.
Not on this show, no.
No, on the show.
He's not Martian Manhunter.
He started out pretty interesting.
But
he was
said
one of the
he
better
is
characters.
towards the end of the season. He said, "I am the Martian Man."
Yeah.
But they
He's a
ripped
direct
away a
quote.
lot of his core story, and they've given
Okay.
him
But here's
the
my
I thought you were being
even, and I
sarcastic
keep
that
going
time.
back to this, but even
He said
Smallville,
he is.
where they kept him as John Jones almost 98% of the time, he was a much more interesting character without his powers because they actually kept him as the character. They kept him true.
but he still had moments. They still had moments that they just. I think it's
he
another
was
thing.
used better.
He was used better, and then they didn't know what to do with him in course of all the other crap that they were trying to write into it.
Well,
So they
again,
were-
the whole purpose of Martian Manhunter, as with Superman and Supergirl, is that they're supposed to be the last of who they are.
But there's so many aliens everywhere in this planet
Right.
now
Yeah.
that nobody's special.
Well,
Exactly.
have you noticed with the original male characters in this show, they tried to push them to the side so that the strength of the female characters could shine through, but it didn't ever work because they started them out fairly strong, and then they kind of went, oh yeah, no, they're taking away from Supergirl too much. We've got to push more female, and then they have to bring in Lex to make the season interesting. That's just, it's falling apart at the seams, and I don't think they can rescue it.
So
Yeah.
I don't know that much about Martian Manhunter as a character, but he isn't an entertaining character. He's been on the sidelines, so it's really hard to care about when he does jump
And
in.
with all the powers he has, and then he just sits on the sidelines and doesn't
Yeah,
do anything
he's
when he
like
could
a
really fix
He's a
most of the
founding member of
problems.
the Justice League.
But
and
Yeah.
he has
he works.
nothing.
He works better in the comics where he's a detective.
Yes,
And he wants-
My hair t-
which they were seeding him starting, but then he did nothing.
Yep.
He's a detective.
But okay, so they took him down that path, and he detected for a while, and then he just dropped it.
We didn't
And
really even see him do a case.
No.
Like he opened...
Not a traditional
No.
case. He was following the alien leads, as particularly Manchester Black. That was the one he was really focused on.
I'm surprised they didn't do like a film noir episode centered around him the way that the season went.
I know.
I just don't even. I don't want him on the show anymore.
I just honestly don't want the show anymore.
I know, you don't
period.
I don't feel strongly
If
about
this show was to
I
end
just
this
want-
season the same as Arrow, I would not be upset at all.
Yeah, I mean, just give me the Tyler Hoechlin, John Cryer Superman show.
That
Oh
would
my
be
word!
awesome.
I
Yeah.
would
With
be so
Elizabeth Tulloch.
pleased.
Yeah.
She's a great Lois Lane.
I mean,
Yep.
they built up these other side characters that are so much more interesting and feel more natural.
And more well-rounded.
I
Yeah.
mean, how bad has Alex become?
Oh,
Yeah.
Can
God,
I
I
just
hate
tell you
every
note?
aspect of her story.
Every
Yeah.
single part of her, I detest. Sorry, actress.
Shiler Lee.
What your name?
Shiler
It's not the
Lee.
actress.
It's not the
writing.
actress. It's
Right.
your character.
She
is
was formerly on Grey's Anatomy.
horrible.
In fact-
And I was like, oh my gosh, this is so stupid. I can't believe they're gonna wipe her memory.
Yeah, what?
Oh my god.
Looking across this show, I can't really think of any of the acting where I've gone, oh god, that's terrible. It's
No.
all in the writing. Every
Yeah.
problem I have with this show is in the writing.
And
Your
in the
character
directing.
is just bad. I'm glad they backed off of her like forced lesbianism, but like,
No.
oh no, you're right, they didn't.
Jimmy's sister and her are getting together.
That's right. And she was gonna adopt a baby, but oh nope, that's not gonna work out.
Well, that almost
That fell
happened,
through.
but it fell through.
Well,
I think
because
she still wants to adopt a baby.
I don't think.
But, God forbid, the writers go through with the decision that they make for a character.
Well, and I think they're dialing back because the thing is they have a very legitimate issue they're trying to explore with her, which is having a career and being a single mom. Let's take apart the fact that she, take
Okay.
aside being gay.
That's
being
been
a,
done though. That's also been done.
And where
It
does that fit
has.
in with a Supergirl show?
It doesn't.
But, you know, if we're being honest, the first season of Supergirl, the CBS one, that was all rom-commy and Devil Wears Prada. I mean, none of the seasons have really followed a traditional superhero storytelling formula. And it hasn't even mirrored Arrow, Flash, and Legends. It's been its own thing, existing over here, trying to juggle all these different types of genre mashups and dropping all the balls.
Yeah, because I mean, who wants to watch Supergirl and the adventures of her single mother sister? Nobody.
Well, so basically what
There's
you're saying
other
is you
shows
don't
for
need
that.
her side plots.
No, there's other shows for. Well, I mean, and if they're going to be done, you know, if they are going to be done clearly, concisely, and not just thrown in just because they want to add another issue to the realm of issues, fine.
And how many villains has Supergirl faced where she should be able to beat them with her hands tied behind her back,
Easily.
but struggles so hard?
Quite a few this season. I think more than ever this season.
Yes.
It's
She
like
should have
she
been
should have been able to beat
incapacitated.
them in the first 30 seconds
Everybody
of the
but
episode.
Red Daughter.
Yeah, pretty much. And obviously Lex.
and Lex. He did have his Lexoskeleton.
That was I enjoyed seeing Lex in
Oh
his
my
Lex
God.
suit.
Yeah.
Yes.
I hated that they copied the whole like Iron Man face.
Yeah,
Camera thingy, it was
that
too much.
That part was bad.
Like, I was
But
sort
the
of-
look of the suit was
Look,
right.
the spirit of the suit was there, Kyle.
Well, that's what I find because you know Lex has always had that suit for like since like the 80s.
Right.
But then when they specifically copy Marvel tropes of like the close-up face with the computer readout, it just felt
That did feel like a big rip-off.
yeah.
You know, we've mentioned them copying Marvel quite a few times over the course of analyzing all four of these shows, really, and I'm starting to wonder if they go to that when they've run out of things.
Hey, that was successful.
No,
that
I
made
think
somebody
they.
$1 billion.
I think they
didn't
just.
it?
Yeah, sometimes I think they just do it subconsciously because none of these people actually know what they're. They don't actually know the comic books.
It's something
So they
networks do.
yeah.
Do other shows that are popular.
I mean, it's
too.
not like it hasn't been on the flip side of history, but right now Marvel's kind of kicking their butt. So that's just happening by because you know it's just happening by proxy. But they have all the opportunity again to make the right decisions. They have these properties that are just as old as Marvel's and older. So there's no reason they can't just take full advantage of what they have. But they always end up on this same pattern that we've talked about multiple times. Actually. Anyways, so yeah, they shouldn't have done that. They
This
should have
show
just
makes
done
me
his normal.
sad.
They should have just done his normal suit, and everyone would have been happy.
Well, that's
just
why I was
with
excited
that.
when he's in his suit, and I'm like, yeah, Lex, this is awesome. And then it cuts to like that Marvel ripoff. I'm like, kind
Yeah,
of.
it goes in there. He says, "I am." Oh no, wait. I'm Lex Luthor.
Yeah.
It's just one of those things. You know what I mean?
I was just at least happy he had the suit.
Yeah, that part was good.
I didn't get into
You're
the weeds.
grasping for silver linings.
Well, a little bit. I didn't get into the weeds with, oh man, that really looks like Iron Man's
But
suit. I didn't care.
The Lex parts were the highlights of this
Yeah.
season, without
Yeah.
doubt. There's nothing else that I really enjoyed.
That's
I really-
true. He almost electrified the
Yeah.
episodes, like
didn't-
resuscitated them with the paddles.
And it may be because I had low expectations, but within 30 seconds of him being on screen, I was like, wow, this is good stuff. I hope he hangs out for a
Yeah.
while. And then he was gone for a while.
'Cause
And then he came back for a little bit.
His dialogue delivery was spot on.
Oh, yeah.
He found the beats.
He felt like he was in a much different, better show. Like it was refreshing to have him
He's
there.
just too much of a seasoned veteran to.
Well,
I don't know.
the scene of him coming out of the castle was the best scene of the entire season. And that's pretty sad that you can have one scene completely trump an entire season.
Well, it's like you're talking about just the ambience of that scene, and it really just going back to like like Junior Lex or whatever. It's like that episode
Lex
where
Jr.
whatever when Michael Rosenbaum. It's the one where that song plays. That episode when
When he's
he's
capturing all the aliens in his
he's-
private prison. Yeah,
yes,
walking
and it's
through.
just a montage of him walking through,
And
and,
they're all
you
like
finally
screaming
see
and reaching
how
out. He just doesn't
evil
even care.
Michael Rosenbaum Lex is, or like the beginnings of it. But you have that same feeling that Spencer's talking about, and you're like, yes, this is Lex Luthor. It's that same thing. Sorry, another Smallville reference, but it's hard
I've
not
never
to do.
said this before, but a show is only as good, a superhero show is only as good as its most interesting villain. This was it.
I
And
think
he can't stay. I mean, you can't keep him. It's...
Not unless you build a show and sign him on.
Right. They're not,
AKA Superman.
right, they're not going to be able to do it with Supergirl, though.
No.
There's not enough
Well, and he's not her villain.
No, exactly.
I mean, he's just not her villain.
Well, they already showed that he's not interested in defeating her.
No.
She's
So
nothing-
why, which makes it even worse that, I mean, even though I loved him and he was the high point, makes it worse that he's there because it's like, literally Supergirl's worthless.
It's like, would you go over there? I don't really care about you. I'm going on
You're
to your cousin.
You are the title character, but...
Yeah.
I know, right? And she could have responded with, "No, I'm going to defend my cousin," but she didn't do that either.
Nope.
Right, which has been another point that they've tried to make is that, and he himself has even said it, like, oh, the reason I haven't been around is my cousin doesn't need me. She's got this on her own. Yeah, no.
Yeah, that went back on that real quick.
So if, again, you're trying to build that female power aspect, you're really kind of...
Cutting her legs off at the knees.
You're nipping off your own...
Covering her legs with hands.
Yeah, well, let's not go to naughty bits.
You just said it!
I said naughty
I
bits.
missed something there, but suddenly there's naughty bits going on.
She made reference and acknowledged
I said
it
nips.
just now.
Cut nips.
Like
That's all I said.
snips.
Yes. Sure.
What's happening?
Oh no!
Did the writers for Supergirl just show up and wreck our podcast?
You made that same joke in the Arrested Development
course
episode.
It's a good joke.
We
It's
just
a good joke. It's a good joke.
Yes.
So you want to know what else was dumb?
Okay.
Jimmy Olsen and
tell
anything
us about
involving Jimmy Olsen.
The Russian second Supergirl. What?
Red
I was
Daughter.
going to just say anything
Yes.
involving
Wait, no,
Jimmy
we
Olsen.
kind of already talked about it. But... Oh, yes. Anything involving
It's just
Jimmy
like
Olsen.
Abbott and Costello over here.
Which is also good. But what he
Spice.
said. But
Jimmy Olsen?
I felt that way about James since he was
Thank God
introduced
he's
on the
not
show.
coming back next season.
Yeah,
Is
he
it?
is.
No.
He's leaving the show.
Wow.
Bye.
What do you
I like the actor.
You overstayed your welcome
Yes.
by 2 seasons.
I like. Yes, the actor's fine. Your character's awful.
He's
Bye.
not Jimmy Olsen. He's never been Jimmy Olsen.
We know that. He could have at least had touches of it. It never happened.
No, he was
Never.
physically, persona. There wasn't a single bit of Jimmy Olsen to the character of James Olsen. That
Even-
was just terrible casting.
Yeah.
Well, that and I think they were trying to project a maturity about Jimmy Olsen, but even a mature Jimmy Olsen would still be Jimmy Olsen.
No.
With some
There was no
added
world where that guy was ever a nerdy photographer.
Correct.
Right. And,
He was hanging out at the gym getting buff.
and
Yeah.
if you want Supergirl to stand on its own, don't instantly put a connection to Superman in the show.
Yeah.
Well, that I forgave because in the 1980 whatever Supergirl movie with Helen Slater, Jimmy Olsen is a fairly prominent character. And
Okay.
that's because in that movie,
I mean,
and to
that
some
movie is not a
extent
good
in
example.
other versions of the property, Jimmy and Lois's sister date, and somehow they know Supergirl. That's part of that movie anyway. And Mark McClure is a fairly substantial part of it. However, he was Jimmy Olsen. He was still Jimmy Olsen, the Jimmy Olsen you saw in the Christopher Reeve movies. This guy, Mehcad Brooks, who was on True Blood, he was fine on that.
Eh.
He was all right.
No.
Unnecessary
X was not a good
roughness was the best
character.
thing I've seen him do.
Look, True Blood was a hot mess in retrospect, but he was in one of the 2 good seasons.
The season was good, though.
But
he
his part
wasn't.
of it was the worst part.
Well, I'm trying,
Sorry.
Mehcad Brooks, I'm trying. Yeah, he's not Jimmy Olsen, and he will be going, so that's another of the original cast members bolting, although I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing because he really got shuffled to the side. He was incapacitated by Harrenhal most of the season, the Black Kryptonite.
Who would have thought we would have missed Callista Flockhart?
I really do. That's
No, I never really liked Ally McBeal so
But
much.
she gave an attitude to the show that seemed genuine, at least.
Well, and it gave it some fire.
Uh-huh.
There's no real fire to this.
And she was teaching her how to be a strong female in her normal
that's true.
world a hell of a lot more than her sister has, and a lot of these other side
There was
female
more
characters.
women power in that story than her
Bam.
being Supergirl.
So again, yes, I agree with your earlier statement of none of these seasons have really found their niche and their tone the way that they should have, but I still feel that the first season, even though they were definitely trying to lean it towards a certain genre, was still some of the better show material that they've given us because there were better connections, things weren't so forced, it was still more Supergirly than what's going on right now. So yeah, I miss Callista.
Do you think we'll just
I'm
be
with
done
that.
with Catco without Jimmy? Like, we don't need...
I don't see what
It-
purpose
it-
it even
it's
serves.
only
completely
Kara
out-
Yeah,
Yeah,
what's the
work
connection
there.
going to be?
Well, they seem to be using Catco to introduce every human version of a superhero or somebody that needs to have a Like, even with Tessmacher, they used Catco
That's true. She
to
was
introduce
secretary.
her as a secretary, and she was planted there by, like, every single new character that comes in comes via Catco.
Kara's gonna be CEO.
Who just happens to be the daughter of a Superman villain, just happened to work at Catco.
Daughter? Son.
That's what I mean.
I mean, every single person seems to get introduced through Catco, so how do they introduce new characters if they shut down Catco?
Kara's gonna be CEO.
That's your prediction?
I don't care.
Okay.
Well, she's got a pantsuit in one part of her life, maybe she'll have a pantsuit in the other.
That's how they're gonna advertise it. Oh my god, he's right.
I hope
That's your
not.
prediction?
No, I hope not. My prediction is I'm going to struggle to watch this show this year. There's too many other good things to watch.
That's not even a prediction. That's just like
A statement.
yes,
Of fact.
a statement. Like,
I'd rather talk about the new Greg Berlanti show on Fox, Prodigal Son.
Oh, I forgot.
I was
He
like,
part
what
of
are we
that. I was
talking
like,
Yeah, it's his production
computing.
I had the worst.
His
mind
production
blank.
company. I saw that. I'm like, oh, good. He is writing something good again.
Have you watched it yet?
Yeah.
All right. You want to go on a list? Because we picked it up.
Oh, I'll definitely go on that list.
It looks very good.
It's darkly wonderful, and Michael Sheen is...
He's always brilliant.
He's so much fun.
Prodigal Son on Fox, starring Michael Sheen.
I'm just saying, if I did that, you'd yell at me.
And surprise,
edit.
Lou Diamond Phillips is a big part of it too.
Oh, he's a good actor too.
I like Lou Diamond Phillips.
Yeah.
So, anyway, see, that's how bad Supergirl is. I'm now talking about a show produced by the same guy.
So the
Better.
cliffhanger of Supergirl season 4 is that the Monitor, of course, appears, and we have not discussed this, but in Lex's big final confrontation, he actually, quote, dies. I say, quote, dies
He didn't
because you can't kill
You
Lex
can't kill
Luthor.
Lex Luthor,
That's
no.
just not a thing. So the cliffhanger is the Monitor comes and releases Jean's brother on Earth, wherever he came from, and then retrieves Lex's corpse and takes him away to destination unknown. What do you think's going
So
to
even
happen?
though they brought Lex back and he isn't
not his
actually
corpse.
dead,
Well, he's
He's not dead.
probably dead, but is probably going to not be dead for very much longer.
yes.
Yeah.
Anyone else have a problem with Lex dying? Like,
Yes!
We just said that.
We just said that. You can't do that. You can't kill people like
I
Lex.
didn't hear you guys. Yeah.
Or the Joker. Or
can't
the
kill the
Reverse
Joker?
Flash.
But what if it's not the real Joker? It's just the third Joker, and they'll eventually have a fourth Joker. Gotham? No.
Did they have 4 Jokers on Gotham?
They made up a number, but
Yes, they have.
they kept
I
saying
haven't
that
watched
wasn't the
the
real
last season.
Joker. We've already talked about
We've
this.
talked
Yeah,
about
Gotham
this.
stands outside of
Listen
the
to your
universe,
podcast.
though. You can't place
Look,
that.
It
I
doesn't
talk
matter.
about a lot of TV,
It's
and
all
that was a
garbage.
long time ago.
It's all garbage. Your point was taken.
So the cliffhanger. What do we think about the cliffhanger and what might happen and what this might mean
I mean,
Is that the-
we
for
know
Crisis?
we know Superman and all versions of Superman now are the focus point of this crisis.
That's
Must
another
be.
thing I agree
Christopher Reeve isn't going to be in there.
I mean, I would be surprised if they didn't.
Hashtag too soon.
I mean,
Way too soon.
there's almost
Just horsing around.
there's gonna. I'm just saying though, there's gonna be an homage.
Hashtag even more too soon.
There's gonna be an homage. You know, there's gonna be
There has to be.
every single version of
Hologram.
Superman.
But I agree with.
Well, since
Okay.
Tom Welling has been announced to appear in Crisis on Infinite Earths and Brandon Routh's
I mean,
Dark
you've seen the
Superman,
pictures.
whatever that's
Kingdom
called.
Come.
Kingdom Come
Kingdom
Superman.
Come Superman.
Yeah, you know, he's
He
got
looks
grey,
exactly-
grey flecks in the side of his hair. He's definitely playing an older
Yes.
Superman.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's Kingdom
you need to
Come.
read the comic book. Oh my god,
people,
Kingdom
look
Come
up
is like
Alex
the best
Ross.
Superman story ever.
Look up Alex Ross Kingdom Come, like right now or soon. But I agree with what you said.
You backtracked.
He's not dark. He's older and seasoned.
Yes.
I
but
just
he's
couldn't
a good,
remember the
He's
name.
still.
He said in our group that he still is a little bit like not pleased with the fact that they keep like giving away a lot of surprises before we even get to it happening, and I completely agree with
Yeah.
that.
How
Yeah.
many of these things would be like mind?
Yeah, I mean, if
We would,
if we had
lose our
no idea that
minds.
Tom Welling was going to be in it, and we're watching it, and then Tom Welling shows up,
I
we
would,
would have
like,
all just been
scream.
like amazed.
I mean, as a comic book fan, the Kingdom Come Superman, I would have lost my. Like, I just would have went.
I would have
nuts.
screamed. I would have like jumped off the couch. I would have maybe even had a tear. It would have been very exciting. Not saying that I won't super enjoy it, but
There's going to be things that we don't know, but this would have been so much better if we had no idea about any of it.
And none of the
Really
stuff
would.
we're excited about is Supergirl.
Yeah, that's true. It's like, Supergirl's going to be there too.
Spoilers being leaked. Can I jump in with an opposing viewpoint about all the spoilers being leaked?
You can.
Sure.
Awesome. So, again, non-comic book reader over here. Still haven't watched Smallville yet. So,
Girl.
I appreciate the spoilers being leaked because I don't know Kingdom Come Superman. I've never heard of that. So, the fact that I can kind of like read up on it a little bit and have that knowledge base ahead of Crisis premiering on TV, I think is kind of nice for me as the average casual non-comic book reading viewer. There, that's my opposing viewpoint.
I mean, I am not up to date on a lot of these things, and I didn't watch Smallville, so I'm indifferent to the spoilers. But I can see both sides. I think it seems more like they're nervous that ratings will keep dropping, and they're like, please don't forget, you should keep watching all these shows.
Nick's right.
I
That's
know
what
that.
it is.
Yeah.
I know that, but if there's any high point that I'm going to tune in, even if I can't stomach watching certain aspects of the universe that they've created, it's definitely the crossovers. So stop wrecking it.
What if Michael
Ahead of
Keaton
time.
pops up?
They don't know.
They have Kevin Conroy. They don't need Michael Keaton.
That's right. Kevin Conroy's going to be live action.
He
See,
is
and once
the
again,
best.
none of the
is
stuff we're
pretty cool.
excited about is
That
the
is
regular
so
cast
exciting.
of The Flash, the regular cast of Arrow, the regular cast of Supergirl.
Well,
The
I
stuff
like
we're
the
excited
regular
about
cast of the Flash.
Well,
is
you
the
like them, but you're
extended
not excited
character.
about
No,
them for
not
the-
for Crisis. I mean, all the things everyone's getting excited about for Crisis is,
Or the Easter eggs.
yes.
Well,
we
that's
don't know if
because
they're
that's what
Easter
the,
eggs, though. We don't know how much some of those characters are going to play.
the cross. Well, I think people are okay. I think people are excited because at least with the crossovers, as Hillary kind of emphatically just emphasized, is that's what people look.
Emphatically
Yeah, that's what people. Shh. That's what people. That's what people look forward to is the crossovers because they do those
Yes.
very, very well.
I did say that.
So, right. So even though some of it's not surprising, there will still be surprises. Will they be the biggest surprises? I don't know. I thought Elseworlds was pretty surprising all the way around, and we knew certain things were going to happen there.
It seems that this has had a lot going into this next group of seasons, which I think starts on Tuesday with The Flash.
Yeah, and,
It starts on Sunday with Supergirl.
Oh, does it? Oh, I
And
probably-
Batwoman.
and the new trailer for Flash just came out, I think, today or was it yesterday? And the entire trailer is it's a preview for Crisis.
Everything.
So everything this season
everything
is building
that's coming
towards
up
it.
just seems to be centered on Crisis
So it's
and
gonna
not
be-
on the individual
Which
shows
is
at
again
all.
saying, I think, please keep watching this show so you
Oh.
get Crisis.
But in the
Yeah.
yes, but in the middle of everything though, there's still going to be a lot of unnecessary filler because they also do that a lot.
So, but hilariously in our Flash episode, while I was advocating for, I want it all to build to Crisis because I feel like a lot of the shows have lost their mojo. Everybody else was like, no, I don't want that much build up.
But they're not. It doesn't sound like they're building to Crisis. It sounds like they're skipping over the first season just to get to
Yes.
the first half, just to get to Crisis.
It's like
I don't think so.
Okay.
Which
I think it's
we'll
gonna.
see.
I really think they're
the first
throwing
five
their whole.
episodes. The first 5 episodes of The Flash are going to be Barry Allen and Iris sitting in jitters having conversations.
I don't think that's it.
They haven't even done that in a long ass time. Sorry.
I think they're definitely throwing everything they have at Crisis on Infinite Earths, but I don't think it's going to go wham, bam, boom, bomb in the first
And I also think,
episodes
too,
of all these
they've
shows.
put
Plus, Batwoman is brand new. They're going to have to do something with
It
her.
feels like the DCTV is starting to come to an end.
I do think that Crisis on Infinite Earth is like the grand finale of a fireworks display. I
Well,
don't
it
know what
feels
else
what
they
you
can
do
cross.
after
Here's the
over.
thing.
Right.
Yeah.
In the comics, it happened when all of their DC sales were lagging. They had too many issues of too many character issues, like
And that's usually
that
what
weren't
happens
selling.
in
So they
comic
needed to condense it all
books.
down.
Marvel's done it too.
And it feels like that's what they were using this crossover for. Like we have
Yes.
too many shows that are lagging, and now we're gonna pare them all down.
And
with this
also,
big
they have to
event.
top
While
themselves.
introducing a new one.
Exactly.
Yes. And they have to top themselves because they've had all these other really good and that's what people are expecting. Like, okay, what's going to
Was
happen
this
for the
the
next one?
fourth?
Because, yeah,
This is the 4th one.
I think so.
And
Well, they did have. They had the Arrow Flash crossover before
Yeah,
the other
that-
two
which was
shows
excellent.
started, right?
so this
Then
would
they added
technically be
Legends.
5.
Then they added Supergirl, and they probably had 3 with Supergirl. The last 2 have minus the Legends.
And the first one with Supergirl was the weakest
Yeah.
of them.
It was just like that very tail end.
Yeah, I mean, she just doesn't seem to be bringing much to the universe.
Well, a lot of that had to do with the fact that she's on a separate Earth. She was on a different network. I mean, if they had started this, I'm not saying that it would have improved it much because
No,
obviously
they had to kind of she was kind of disjointed. They had to kind of like
Correct.
get her in.
But they should be over that by now with the ease with which
Yes.
they go from
that
one
that part they
dimension
got
to the
past
other
pretty
now.
well.
Yes.
It's the method of their storytelling that's the biggest problem.
I just don't think they've ever found the right tone for this show.
Nope.
Never. Arrow may have been flatlining for a long time, but at least it maintained its tone. Supergirl has not had a consistent tone in any of the 4 seasons, even the better ones. They've all been a different tone.
Yeah.
If you can't set your foundation with your tone, which is partially writing, partially directing, show running involved, you're going to fail. You're probably right. It's probably not going to last much longer. Unless they pull a real Legends turnaround.
Yeah.
Legends has the trademark
Which
on
is
that right now.
It's possible that
Honestly,
they can
right now,
start
the-
season 5 and build from there. It just...
It doesn't feel
I'm not
likely.
holding my breath for it.
Yeah.
It's not
Coming
likely.
into these next weeks of the show starting up again, Legends is the one I'm actually most looking forward to.
And that's not coming back till January.
Yeah. And that's the one I'm most looking forward to this season.
It's still the most fun.
Because it's the one that doesn't try and take itself
This
seriously.
Yeah,
feels
it has
like
the
a
least amount of
natural
baggage.
segue.
I love the Flash.
I do too.
I still like
No,
the
I
Flash,
still like
but
the
it's
Flash.
losing steam.
We've talked
But-
about
Slow
how
down.
we feel it's faring compared to the first 3 seasons. Do you feel this is the worst season of all?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, obviously minus the Lex stuff,
Minus
but otherwise,
Lex.
Yeah, minus Lex.
But
Yeah.
but the
It
overall
was a
season,
slog.
I would say yeah.
Yeah.
I would agree.
Needed the wine again.
Oh, that's also a fascinating
I went to
commentary.
Hard Spirits.
Hashtag.
Oh, he went to Hard Spirits. I
Oh.
just needed... Yeah.
Was it gin?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it really was. Big gin and tonic, watch Supergirl.
So now it is time, segue. Now it is time, everybody go around the water cooler and rank the 4 DCTU shows, Legends included.
Alright, I'll go first.
Okay.
Just for a change. I would say that Flash and Legends are tied first for me, then Arrow, and then this turd.
Wow.
Wow.
I would say Flash is... I enjoy Flash a little bit more than Legends, but I really like Legends. It's a second. And then I think I enjoyed this more than Arrow. I did. So this is 3, Arrow's 4.
I would say Legends, John Constantine. Then Flash.
I mean, you don't have to tell me twice.
Then Flash.
I mean, he's upset.
Then
That's
Supergirl,
like
and then
Daredevil
Arrow.
level. Constantine is like Daredevil
As
level.
painful as this show is, I still... Lex Luthor put it above Arrow because there's no redeeming factors for Arrow.
That's funny. Yeah, I'm still going to say Flash is my favorite. Legends is next because, I mean, it is still fun, but I like more of the substance that comes along with the Flash. And I think the last few times I've said they're kind of tied for the bottom, but yes, I like all the Lex parts with John Cryer this season. But other than that, there's not a whole lot that's redeemable. Well, I like Stephen Amell. So I'm still going to leave them even because I still like Stephen Amell, but then I like John Cryer. So they're
But John
like...
Cryer isn't a recurring character, and that's why I couldn't rank it higher than Arrow.
Well, I'm just saying, if we're talking about this season, that's where I'm putting it.
All right, I'm kind of agreeing with everybody else. I like Legends first, Flash second, Supergirl third, and Arrow a distant fourth.
Isn't that what the rest of us said?
That's what I said.
Yeah, that you agree?
Great minds.
I
I'll
agree
argue
with a lot
this
of what
episode.
you said. Let's put it that way.
I like the Flash the best. For exactly why Hillary said it. I think the substance is there. Legends would be next. Close because of John Constantine.
She's just, little bits of what we're all saying.
Yeah. Flash, then Legends. I really thought about Supergirl and Arrow, and I'm gonna tie them at the bottom for the first time. Because I did like the Lex stuff for Supergirl. I thought Supergirl's second half was better. Arrow's first half was better. The rest of it was not good. I don't know how to break that tie. So therefore they will stay tied. Supergirl and Arrow are the same. And I love Stephen Amell. I think he's done a great job. I love Melissa Benoist. I think she's done a great job. It's not the leads. They cast them well. They
Even
did a
though they're
great
not
job.
really acting like their characters at all, but yes, they're
That's
still
not
good
their
actors.
fault.
That's a huge
They're
problem with
doing
shows.
what
Yeah.
they're doing
They're acting
what they're
just-
given.
Yeah, they're acting what is written
Yes.
well. But this is what I struggle to understand. That means they're writing Lex well also. John Cryer can't just be playing him well, because if they wrote
He
Lex
had good
doing...
material. But when you've got somebody who's that big of a fan of a character, they generally shine at playing the character.
Plus Kevin Smith.
And Kevin
you've
Smith was
got those
directing
Good
it.
direction, great actor.
So there could have been things in the script where
So really, they
actor
should.
choices and director choices
Well, and they're
That
both
was
huge
developing.
Superman fans, so
Yeah.
I mean, if there was anything in the script that
Like,
felt
Lex wouldn't do
off,
that.
Kevin Smith or him would have auto-corrected it.
Correct.
I'm still stunned that somebody hasn't got Kevin Smith to helm a full-on comic book movie of, you know.
You ever heard the saga of Superman Lives?
Yeah, but I mean, recently
He had such a nightmare trying to make a Superman movie when he was hired that he's never tried again.
too much interference.
they should-
He's
Yes.
also trying to make a fourth Clerks movie.
Well, yikes.
Third Clerks movie.
Huh?
Third Clerks movie.
Right, third
Good,
Clerks
yeah.
movie.
They had a show.
Murphy.
I thought they had the cartoon. We're not
That was a
counting
TV
That was
it?
show.
a movie.
Oh, I thought it was a movie. I didn't watch it. Continue.
Kevin Smith should...
His daughter's all grown up. It blows my mind.
She is. Harley Quinn has grown up.
She's so pretty.
Is that her name?
Her
Yes.
name is Harley Quinn Smith.
She's so.
That is how that's next level comic fans.
Oh, I
like
know,
you're a
yeah.
next level Star Trek fan, and Sarah's a next level Quantum Leap.
Quantum Leap.
Well, it's funny, it's like, because I've always been a fan of Kevin Smith, and like he named his baby, and everyone's like, you named your daughter after an obscure comic book and cartoon character, but now it's just like, oh,
She's
Harley
not
Quinn.
obscure.
Not anymore.
I know.
She was more then. Than
Like
she
20
was.
years ago,
There's
yeah.
been a lot of bandwagoning since then.
Missed it.
So for the last 10-15 minutes, we've really not talked about Supergirl, and that tells you how bad the show is.
So would you recommend Supergirl to others as of the end of season 4? Why or why not?
I would recommend
No.
it to prison systems as torture.
I wouldn't even recommend it for the crossovers,
Yeah,
because
that's
they
what I
don't
was
really
gonna say.
add that much to the crossovers.
You don't miss anything for the crossovers. Like, you might actually
really-
be more excited that,
You really
Supergirl's
don't
in this
have to
crossover.
watch it.
Or like when Superman shows up in the last
don't.
crossover, like you don't need any of his
You don't.
anything that he did on Supergirl.
Yeah.
Right.
No.
Yep.
You
don't
don't
have
And
to.
I almost feel like her showing up in the crossover might detract from it. Except for the writing
Anyways,
is going to be better
so the
than
answer
was
to that
the
question
show.
is no.
Same for you,
Especially when you have
Kristen.
all three like amazing super.
Yeah, I'm a big
and then
meh.
you need Supergirl.
I would recommend it maybe in the beginning, but yeah, if I can't even like justify it to like non-comic book. Well, I mean, we have non-comic book like knowledgeable people on the podcast, and they're just like they can't write. Like they just it's
I
not.
can't.
Yeah.
I can't recommend it.
Okay, and then the next famous question, although I already know the answer. Are you going to keep watching because you want to or because you have to?
You're making us.
Have to.
So that would be called have to.
I
It's
like how I
part
said it.
of the DC. I don't care if you stand by your position. It's called the DCTU series, Nick. Anyone else?
Wow. Like, that's
Suppose
so
this means
real.
you have to
Is
watch
anybody
Batwoman,
else waiting for the Dreamer spinoff?
No, they're not.
Is that
No.
real?
Gotcha.
She believed you because really, it wouldn't be that. It wouldn't be that out of the realm for them to think that's a good idea at this point.
And maybe I just missed it somewhere.
CW, no.
Do not consider that. It wouldn't work.
No, we do not need any
You're
sort of
supposed to be a
Supergirl
Legion
spinoff,
of
no matter what it
Superheroes.
is.
We don't even want Batwoman.
That's true, I don't.
I don't.
They just showed Tommy
Oh,
Elliott
I don't
Hush
either.
on it, and he's other than his name, nothing's the same. He has no vendetta with Bruce Wayne. He's not a skilled surgeon. He's a real estate agent politician.
They have Hush on it?
Yeah, but he's not Hush. He's not Hush. He just has the same name.
Kyle has
See-
passion about the Hush.
Oh, that's like one of his most favorite.
I
Batman
know.
villains.
He's ranted about it on the Gotham podcast
And-
many times.
I feel like, unfortunately, Supergirl and Batwoman only exist as TV shows because they weren't allowed to do
Exactly.
Superman and Batman.
Agreed.
It's like, how close can we get
Yep,
to Dark
that's it.
Lord?
But
And no
there's so
disrespect
many-
to Ruby
okay.
Rose, I actually think she probably could be good, but the character is
Yeah,
not
and there's
good.
so many ways that they could do that, but they're doing it so
I-
badly.
And I think if they had a Superman show and introduced Supergirl and got us interested in that character and spun it off,
like the other way around.
same thing with a Batman and then bringing Batwoman in. Yeah, they're hanging in on a character a lot of people don't know about. It's hard to.
Or
It
don't
doesn't have a
like.
ton of canon behind it.
No.
And they're going to try and use the Batman canon in Batwoman the same as they try to use the Superman
Yeah,
canon.
it's
for
literally
I
going to be
guess-
repeating the same cycle.
So I was wondering if
Yes.
they will. If doesn't this take place in the future? So it has to be like all the Joker, Two-Face, Poison Ivy stuff.
Well, I don't know
has
what you're
happened.
meaning by future, because there's really
Batman's
no set
been missing for
timeline, but
5
he's been
years.
missing for
Only
5
5
years.
years.
Yeah.
So
And the
it-
city's
I thought
going
it was
to
closer
dis-
to Batman Beyond
No.
No.
timeline.
But if they introduce the Joker and Batwoman, I'm done.
What if they...
They'll introduce 4 different Jokers.
Or
What if they introduce the Riddler, Penguin, Catwoman, Two-Face,
I mean, they're
Harley
gonna
Quinn,
have to.
Poison Ivy?
Because
haven't-
Batwoman has literally not a single villain.
I was going to say, unless they're in her canon, then I can accept it. But if they're not even
They
part of
introduced
her...
Psycho Pirate.
In shows that exist in the world that aren't based on comic books, they get writers that create new
villains,
characters.
right.
And why can't they do that? Why can't they do that with the Supergirl? And hopefully maybe they do that
Because
with
your
that
stock
one.
standard viewer for these shows have interest in the canon in the first place is what drew them to the shows.
That's why you need to do a Batman
That's your
show.
base.
That's your base, exactly.
Your base is comic book fans, or people that have at least enjoyed those genres. So,
And stop pandering towards younger people. I still feel like that's a big part of it. Like, it's
Well,
very...
it is the CW,
I know, but they don't have to pander. Like, okay, our youth today, they are growing up in a pretty crazy world. You don't need to talk to them like they're stupid.
And
Plain and simple.
And nowadays,
like...
All the teachers went, yeah!
and
Some of
nowadays,
them know,
younger
but
kids
most
have-
of them, you don't need to do
It's
that.
so much easier for them to look up things that have happened in the past, like old shows, old comic books. That's easier access. You're not waiting for mail. You're not digging through stuff. So they can look up these characters. They can hop on board.
If they
pretty
don't
quick.
know what it is, but there's still, like he said, going to be a lot of that, audience that is already the base. So you don't...
The CW and Warner Brothers really should have, or at least Warner Brothers spread over several networks, should have considered rebuilding their universe on television. And
Because
not
they're
worry
not-
about movies.
Because they're not going to win.
Or
the
put
movie
Wonder
battle.
Woman up there and
No,
Aquaman.
the
They're
way
the
they've
only
gone
two
with
that
it.
went well.
Well, even when they do that and do it well, like Swamp Thing, they didn't even give it a chance. They didn't even
Well,
wait
they
for
put it on the
ratings.
DCU.
yeah, they
that's
put it on
why.
something
Yeah.
no one's watching.
They're not maintaining their subscriber base.
No.
And I don't even know why Warner Brothers is trying to split their streamers.
Because
Because they
everybody
wanted to
else
have
is.
dedicated Warner Brothers and a dedicated DCU, and that's not going to work.
Everybody else is doing these streaming services. They're all looked at what Netflix did and now what Amazon Prime is doing, and they're like, we want a piece of that pie. And
They don't understand what makes it work.
no, and they don't understand that we don't all have the ability to go out and spend $10 a month on 19 different
Well,
services.
they don't understand that. That's why people don't want cable. You're paying
Right.
so much for every channel.
That you're
but
not
when you're
watching.
doing all these streaming services, it's the equivalent
Yeah,
of
you're
paying so
just
much
gonna
per
pick.
channel.
You're just gonna pick and choose what you want. So either you have the better content or you don't.
Right.
Plain and simple.
Yeah, and it's
Because
And once
that's
again,
Market
we're
will
going
decide.
pretty away from
Yes.
Supergirl discussions because there's nothing to discuss.
With that said, is there anything else you would like to say about Supergirl Season 5, or do you have any, Supergirl Season 4, or do you have any predictions for Season 5 that you haven't already mentioned?
No, it's just gonna be about.
It's just building up
The
to
crossover.
Crisis.
Yeah,
Everything else
they
is-
Yeah, that's
revealed no villains, no plot points for...
I'm pretty
Supergirl
excited about those
at all.
pants, though.
Yeah, there'll be pants.
lots
maybe
and lots of
possibly
pants.
a pantsuit.
If we're lucky, we can't pin everything on that.
They might go do away with Catco altogether.
So I
I
haven't
don't think
seen any
so.
of these pants trailers. Or
You're really
promos.
missing out.
I've only
Do
seen
any
it
of
on
them
the
say
teaser
she may
posters.
put her pants on one leg at a time? What she goes after.
That's a lot more clever than Warner Brothers.
Maybe you should write them and give them some ideas, man.
No.
You don't want to be tied to that, do you?
So yeah, anything else you want to say about Supergirl Season 4 or Season 5 upcoming on October 6th?
Do better.
It's almost impossible to predict season 5
I mean,
because
at
they've
this
done
point,
nothing to set anything
I
up.
hope they recreate the iconic cover of the Crisis on
Oh,
Infinite Earths
he's showing you a picture. I can see
where
it.
she dies and Superman carries her
Hence.
out of the rubble.
She's tougher now.
She has a
Which-
shiny gold belt.
That might have yielded a blip on people thinking, oh, that looks cool, if they didn't telegraph that they're doing it. Like, if it was just something that maybe they made a comment in the first episode.
Seems so pointless.
He's just staring at it. He's just staring at it.
What were you saying, Kyle?
At this point, my only hope is that they kill her off like Crisis on Infinite Earths, the comic. Like, the most famous cover is Superman carrying her out of the rubble. And all these cool Superman, I can't wait to see which one it is.
They're not gonna kill her, but
No. I'm
So-
sure
They'll
they'll
set up a human chain of
I guarantee
Superman
you, though,
handing her off
it'll
down the
be
line.
like-
It's
It'll
one of the
be-
most iconic
it'll
comic
be
book
near
images.
death.
I do
She
remember
won't
They
die.
will homage it. She'll
Yeah.
get hurt or something,
It'll be
and you'll
near
have a
death.
Superman carry
Yes.
her out of the...
It'll be near death, but she's not gonna die.
Well, obviously. the show.
No, Oliver's gonna die or something.
No, he is gonna die.
Yeah, he's taking the Flash's place. They've choreographed that pretty hardcore.
Telegraphed it.
Telegraphed, yeah.
Or choreographed. That's upcoming, Kyle.
Yeah, they'll be in the dance scene.
Another musical episode?
I don't think that's going to happen.
Please, no.
I mean,
Besides, some of their singers left to go to Broadway.
That's going to be difficult with the crossover to surprise us storyline-wise, because it does seem to have been telegraphed so hard.
Right, which is why it would have been nice to have those surprise Easter eggs, just saying.
Which makes me nervous that that's not they're going to finish Oliver's story differently because everyone is expecting him to die.
One
and
could
it's
hope.
Going to be less satisfying.
It would be good if they finished his story differently, but then at the same time, that means Barry has to die. That would be bad for the best.
He has to.
Yeah, that ain't gonna happen.
Since Arrow's season finale is the episode after its section of Crisis on Infinite
so
Earths,
he won't die.
I think he's gonna make it. That's my
true.
prediction.
You're
I mean, one of them has to die. I mean,
Right.
like, the Anti-Monitor in the DC Universe is, like, the big bad. Like, if somebody doesn't end up dead, then there's not enough stakes.
At one time in a flash forward, didn't we see Oliver in the future with missing an arm?
Yeah.
Yeah, but that future.
That was an
seems
homage
be
to a
an
comic where
alternate future.
Superman ripped his arm off.
Yeah.
That was an homage to Dark Knight Returns.
And I feel like much of the stuff that we saw in that future was
being rewritten
overwritten
again
by the thing we just saw in Arrow Season 7.
Or by Flashpoint, which didn't really happen.
Although I would love to see Superman rip off Green Arrow's arm. That'd
Which
be
Superman
awesome.
do you want to see do it?
All of them.
They have
It'd
a
be a
tug of
Superman we
war.
haven't seen yet.
So one of the ones.
There's a lot of possibilities coming up, but none of them with Supergirl are good.
As your prediction.
Is my prediction. I
Really?
predict that this time next year, when we're hashing over season
5
or 5 of Supergirl,
You're almost Monty Pythoning this.
Yes.
3, 5, 5, 3.
when we're going over season 5, this discussion is not going to be too dissimilar than the one we've just had. That's my prediction.
Well, it certainly wasn't dissimilar to the one we had for season 3 as I listened to that one. So far, we're running a consistent tone of our own.
Yes.
Have you got all your feelings out?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm excited for some Tom Welling and some Brandon Routh and some Kevin Conroy and all
You
that.
lied because you just expressed a feeling.
It doesn't mean I'm not excited.
There's a feeling of excitement, but it wasn't
I mean,
about
there's some
Supergirl.
DC excitement this week, but it's like the Joker and
I
everything
would've-
has Superman.
I'm still
Tomorrow night.
excited to see them.
Technically tonight, but it was at
I'm
7.
seeing
It just would have been. It
So
would
we're gonna
have
see it
been
tomorrow.
mind-blowingly exciting to see them without
Providing
knowing
nobody
they were
nuts
coming.
does something stupid tonight, they can pull it.
Anyways, we're done with Supergirl. You can do your thing.
Okay, so I'm going to do my thing. Thanks, Nick and Hillary and Kyle and Spencer
didn't
and
say
Kristen for joining me to talk about Supergirl such as this talk was. And because we had this talk and they had their many feelings, it's time for the credits. Couch Potatoes Unite! Exclamation point was produced by Back Pocket Productions, run by yours truly, the Chief Couch Potato, which is really another way of saying executively produced by me, Kylie Piette. My associate producers are Krista Pennington and Selene Rezmer. I edit this podcast, and our logo is by Rebecca Wallace. Our marketing graphic artist is Krista. Our theme song was written by Sarah Milbratz and sung by Sarah, Amy McDaniel, and Kelsey Rezmer. Kelsey played the keyboard, Ian McDonough played the bass, Christian Somerville played the guitar, and the whole kit and caboodle was engineered and produced by Kyle Aspinall and Christian. We hail from Grand Rapids, Michigan. Please, if you like what you hear, take the time to rate us on iTunes, Stitcher Radio, or Google Play, or wherever you find your podcasts. Give us stars, give us comments, give us reviews. Let us know how we're doing. Send us a message. We might just read it on the podcast. Tell us what you like, what you don't like, what we should keep, what we should toss. You know how it goes. And if you have suggestions on shows we might consider, contact us at our website, couchpotatoesunite.wordpress.com, where we have a guest book, via email at couchpotatoesunitepodcast@gmail.com, or via our social media, Facebook, Twitter at CPU Podcast, and Instagram at Couch Potatoes Unite. Though, of course, we add new and old shows to chat about around the water cooler all the time. We always have several more new episodes coming down the pike. Just listen to our intros, and if you miss old episodes or want to know in general what we cover, just find us. We are everywhere and searchable wherever you look for things on the internet. You can search for us, or you can subscribe at our website, our channels, our social media accounts. Stay up on our new events and episodes. Until the next time, Supergirl is available in its entirety on Netflix because the CW has a contract with them, even though we don't. Netflix, I keep dropping these hints. Get a picture. In the meantime, our DCTU panel will next reconvene very shortly, in fact, to discuss Season 4 of DC's Legends of Tomorrow and Part 22 of our ongoing DCTU series. In addition, Supergirl premiered on October 6, 2019, and while we normally engage in a mid-season roundup upcoming, here's another change for 2019-2020. With the changes coming to the Arrowverse so obviously choreographed/telegraphed this season, we will only be doing a mid-season review of the foretold mega crossover event, Crisis on Infinite Earths. So stay tuned for that as well. But until next time, until next episode, new episodes are published every Wednesday. Keep listening.